Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the laws of KASHRUS, and he's going to speak today about a very important topic, and that is if you have one oven in the house and you want to use it to cook Fleishigs and Milchigs, not at the same time, obviously we're going to see, but if you want to use it one after the other, what is the proper way to do it? So keep in mind, the first part that we're going to discuss over here is going to be what we would call Ikar Hadin, which would mean that according to the Shulchan Aruch and the Paiskim and the halachic authorities that we have written on the Shulchan Aruch, this would be technically okay. However, afterwards he's going to explain what seems to be the proper minhag, the proper way in which a Jewish home will set up the cooking of meat and milk out of one oven. So he says like this: Afiyas basa v'chala b'tanor echad, baking bread, baking meat and milchigs in the same oven. Tanor gas or chashmal, whether you have a gas or an electric oven. You cannot roast or bake fleishig foods and milchig foods together. That you can surely not do. Because the flavoring and everything, that's the taste and the smell and everything in one food will end up going to the other food. You have pizza and hamburgers or hot dogs cooking in the same oven at the same time. It's going to transfer flavor, it's going to transfer things one to the other, and you'll end up with really treif food. So too, if you want to bake challah in the oven together with meat, you should not eat that bread together with, you're not allowed to eat that bread together with milk afterwards. Because the bread took on the halachic status of being fleshig, of being meaty, because the meat, the as we'll see later on, the condensation, the zayah, the sweat, so to speak, that's in that meat that's going up into the oven, it transfers into the bread, and the bread becomes fleshig. However, you could cook dairy food in an oven after you cooked fleshig food if everything was dry when it was being cooked. The meat was dry and the milk was dry as well, as we shall see. As long as you know that the oven is clean from any of the residue of the fat of the meat that was in there previously, or the residue of the milk that was in there previously. That would all be mi'ikar adin. Now, bishul basa v'chala b'tanor echad. How do you work it that you cook the meat and the dairy in one oven? Kol ha'omar hu l'inyan afiyah l'inyan bishul davar she'en bo noizel mashke aval davar she'esh bo noizel. However, everything we discussed so far is talking about where there's no liquid and there's no gravy, there's nothing liquidy at all in this pan. But if there is some kind of liquid in the meat or the milchigs that you are cooking, and therefore it creates what's called zayah. Zayah is like really sweat, but obviously that means that there's condensation. There is moisture that's emanating from the food. Yesh lachu she'atavshel v'abasar yala edim lesikros hatanor v'hatanor yaseh basar. So what are we concerned about? That the condensation, that the vapor, so to speak, that is coming from this food, the sweat is going up into the roof of the oven, and now the walls of the oven are becoming basar, they're becoming fleshig. And now when you want to cook something else in there, so maybe now the condensation that is coming from the milchig, let's say, that comes after the fleshig, is going up to the roof of the oven. And then maybe it's going to start dripping back down. And then the flavor of the meat is going to go into the food that's cooking on the bottom right now, which is milchigs. And you won't be able to eat that now together with meat, with milk. He's saying over here, even if you have a part of tafshil, something part of that you put into the oven after you already cooked liquidy meat, and that tavshil itself has some kind of liquid as well. So then it's going to, let's say, I don't know, you have spaghetti, part of spaghetti with sauce on there, no cheese, but it's creating condensation and smoke and sweat. It's going up, comes back down. That becomes Fleishiga pasta now, because we're afraid that the drips of real Fleishig ended up dripping into the pasta. Ach kemuvan, however, it's understood. Lo nemar din ze'elim shnei atavshilin yesh ben noizel malim edim. This only is true if both kinds of food that you cooked in this oven, one after the other, the Fleishig and the parv, let's say over here, or the milchig, had some kind of liquidy. Avalim echad mem eino malim edim. But if one of them doesn't give off zeh, it doesn't give off any condensation, or even if it does, but I guess you put in this thing covered, and therefore the condensation never leaves the pan, so then you don't have anything to worry about over there. So if you would end up cooking in an oven fleishigs with some kind of liquid, and you're afraid now that liquid went to the roof of the oven, then you wanted to bake bread afterwards in there, and let's say the bread is dry, so it's not giving off any of that liquidy condensation, so the bread will remain parv afterwards. However, if they had two liquids, one after the other, then you have to be concerned that what's coming back down is going to be fleishigs into that thing over there. So if it's milchigs, you literally have treif, and if it's parv, it became fleishig now. We're going to see, though, next time, Be'ez Hashem, the proper way for a person to utilize one oven for milchigs and or for fleishigs. Have a wonderful day.